Oh, that's a big question. You're right. I get that question asked all the time. I asked it myself,
Yeah.
and I'll tell my story first because it was like, I think it still holds true today. This kind of, it's like this unwritten guideline or rule that people kind of get fed when they go into public accounting is, I was told, okay, I can't think about leaving until I make manager.
Hmm.
Right. That was back in 2003 when I started my career in public accounting. And that's what my managers and performance managers and, partners told me is like, if you're going to leave, you can't leave until you make manager. Otherwise, you're not going to be as successful or the
Yeah.
opportunities aren't going to be as great. And what I found quickly, especially after I left, is, it's not that black and white.
Right.
There's a lot of gray. And there's a lot of depending on your goals and where you're trying to go. And so, that's one of the things I want to tell people because when I get asked that question, they expect me to just follow up with an answer like, oh, how many years have you have? Or, what experience do you have? Okay, and it's now time to leave. And
Right.
that's not the case. It's more of my follow up questions are, what's your career aspirations? What are your goals? Where are you trying to get to?
Yep.
Have a plan. And then once you have a plan, then you can say, okay, when's the best time to leave? And so I give an example. So I left after 2.5 years in public accounting. But I left for a career that was totally out of accounting. I
Hmm.
went into recruiting in HR.
Yeah.
And so what I decided was, and if I stay another year, what experience am I going to gain that helps me with my next career move?
Yep.
And there wasn't any, I was
Yep.
moving totally out of accounting and into recruiting. And so even if you stay in accounting or finance, um, that's the same kind of guideline I would put to anyone is saying, okay, where are you trying to go? And does this experience help you get to that next level? And so I would tell people, because the truth of the matter is, even if you stay in accounting, the longer you stay in public accounting, the less opportunities there are to leave, right?
Right.
Because you got to factor in, you're now in a higher salary band. You have a very specialized skill set within accounting
Yeah.
and a specialty. And so your exit opportunities have to meet those experiences and background and salary requirements. And if you're trying to broaden or expand your experience or try something new, even if it's in accounting, a lot of these organizations are not willing to give you those opportunities because, one, you come with a higher price tag, and two, if you're at a manager or director level, they need somebody who's really got that expertise.
Yep.
And if you don't, it's like it's not the right fit. And so I always tell people it's like, it's a case by case situation.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, I definitely. I mean, I've seen people that they intend on staying kind of indefinitely. They don't have a plan, but they get a great offer when they're a senior associate after, 3 years at a firm. Like I had one guy, he got an offer to be a CFO for a small kind of oil company after 3 years with equity in the company. And obviously, I mean, he's not going to, grind out another couple years in public accounting just because to hit a checklist. If an opportunity arises,
right.
You get as much experience as you need to get the opportunity that you want to have, right? So it does depend completely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I always tell people because, some people, if public accounting is where they want to be and they want to be on large clients and, publicly traded clients, a lot of times it's, stay at your current firm or move to a larger firm. Or if you want to stay in public accounting, but maybe you're looking to be with, smaller clients, more regional based or private, maybe you move down in size of firm, maybe you go from a big four down to a regional or a national firm. And so it just comes down to, like I said, what's your career plan? What's your career path? And then that's what I would say drives when you leave public accounting.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm with you. So the next question is kind of already hit, and that's kind of what kind of experience and milestones should I hit? The only thing I feel like we've already covered that. I mean, in my opinion, you just need like at least one busy season, right? Like as far as like if you're in tax or audit, I mean, you kind of measure experience a lot by busy seasons. Is that right? Would you say if you're in public accounting, you need to hit one or two busy seasons as milestones?
Yeah, it's so interesting because like when you think about leadership development and executive leadership development, you measure your growth based on skills and exposure and experience, right? But in public accounting, early in our career, we seem to measure ourselves based on time, right?
Right.
Like, oh, what's our tenure? So I need to do one busy season or two busy seasons. So with our clients, I'm always trying to get them into a mindset of like, let's talk about those busy seasons, but let's talk about more about exposure and experience and skills.
Totally.
Because that's what you're going to be able to sell to a potential opportunity, hiring manager.
Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of the big milestones to look at.
Yeah.
But you're right. Let's be honest. You come in your first year in public accounting or really any job, and your first year, you're just kind of figuring out where the restrooms are.
Right.
Where's the copy machine? And if you can remember your passcode, for the copy machine. And so, and then your second year, you really kind of get, the air under your wings and you're starting to make some, an impact. And so, if you leave too early, you just don't have a lot of value that you can add to your next opportunity, because you're just barely learning the system, and so I always tell folks, if you can hang on at a minimum, 2 years should be kind of your milestone, unless you kind of wake up one day and say, I don't want to be in accounting. I want to totally get out, or I want to try something different. You wake up and say, I want to be in a pure finance role or marketing or, something else. Then you're right. Then there's not a whole lot of reason to justify for you to stay any longer than a year.
Sure.
But if you're not sure, you're not going to hurt yourself by sticking around a little longer.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. I always liked, forget where I heard this quote, but it was, never run away from something, but always run to something. As cheesy and cliche as that is, I think it applies, because a lot of us just want to get the heck out of there, right? But if we don't have a plan, then, it could be a little risky. If you don't know where you're going, you just want to get out of there.
Right.
Okay, so this is...
And you always have people who, we're very risk averse, right? Public accountants are risk averse, type A,
right?
And so I always tell people, though, with our skill set and background in public accounting, we should have the highest risk tolerance, because you can always go back into a public accounting firm, right? The needs right now in public accounting, are extraordinary, right? They're always looking for talent. And that's been the case. I mean, as long as I've been in my professional career, they've always said that. And so I always have friends or colleagues who left the firm and come back, they go to experiment. And it's always tell people, like, look, this is your chance to explore, and if you make a mistake, it's really not a mistake, because you can come back. You probably come back more valuable. Your career might be accelerated in public accounting. You have a different perspective and lens that you look at the work, and you just become more valuable to the team and to your client. And so I always tell people, like, if you really think you want to leave but you're just not sure, you're anxious or apprehensive, you're not going to lose a lot if you do, because you can always come back.